Welcome to the Getting the Deal Done podcast. This is John Martinka, and my special guest today is Vance Morris. He goes by the Disney Guy. He helps clients improve their businesses using what he learned at Disney, and he doesn't just advise on things up there in the netherland of outer space or anything like that. He owns three businesses right now. And so he puts into practice what he is doing himself. Welcome, Vince.
I appreciate it, John. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Well, let's first talk about your three businesses. They're three, what we'll call it middle America businesses.
That they are, they're what I would call, commoditized businesses. Something you would find pretty much in any town. I've got a carpet cleaning business, a Oriental rug washing facility, which is probably a little bit more on the higher end. You probably don't see too many of those. And then a mold remediation company.
Okay. And how long have you had them?
Going on 18 years now.
Okay.
It's quite some time.
So whatever you're doing it right. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because you are not an active owner operator, not with those three, as well as your advisory business.
Yeah, that's correct. I've put some systems and processes into place that's kind of let me, I don't want to say manage from afar, but certainly has given me the opportunity to go off and do some other things and really spend probably 90 minutes to 2 hours a week on those three businesses.
Okay. So let's talk about how you got there. You worked for Disney for a while.
I did just a little over a decade in their resorts division. So primarily food and beverage and hotels. My last job there was food and beverage director for the Contemporary Resort.
Okay. So obviously Disney's very successful and they've got a lot of moving parts. So they have to have the systems and processes that you like to talk about. So let's talk about them. I know from my notes from when we talked before, understand them, sit back, and rely on others.
Yeah, one of the first things I learned at Disney, again, that obviously, other than, they're really good at picking up trash before it hits the ground and, everybody's always smiling and trying to be happy, are the systems that create all of those, magical experiences, for lack of a better word. But what I found is that the systems and processes are simple. They're easy. Because if you think about who's working at a Disney park or a Disney resort, they're a lot of teenagers, and they're not really thinking about, how the ride works. They're not thinking about safety and complex things. They're probably thinking about, last night's keg party and what they're going to be doing this afternoon with their girlfriend. So if they were complex systems, the whole thing would just fall apart. McDonald's is a great example of that. They have very simple systems that allows, the Big Mac to taste the same in Boise as it does in Buffalo, as it does down in Boca Raton. And so I took that overall theory of simple systems and put it into my businesses. Because again, I knew that I didn't know I was always going to be getting away from it. This whole consulting coaching thing just kind of erupted out of it. But I didn't know that I didn't want to be doing the actual cleaning myself forever.
Yeah.
So as I was building the businesses, I documented the systems. I would, as I was driving my carpet van, I would, talk into my phone and record what I had just done. And then back then you'd upload it to some cloud thing and transcribe it. And I would create an OJT or an SOP out of it. So how to answer the phone would be one of them. And I would come up with a couple of different ways and best practice it. And lo and behold, we had the best way to answer the phone or the best way to get in the front door. And right now, we probably have a 3-inch thick binder. I'm still kind of a paper and pen kind of guy. Although we have started doing some videos, but if you go on any one of my vans, you can go on the van and there's a binder. It's about 3 inches thick, and it'll tell you what to do when, in any kind of scenario. And it really gave me freedom to go off and do other things and be able to put a general manager in place and say, look, you just got to manage the systems. There's a marketing system, operation system, guest service system. If you just manage those, don't screw with anything, just manage them, this thing will keep running. And lo and behold, it did.
Okay.
I'm not saying he can't have iterations of his own or have creativity. We save that for our Friday meeting. We meet 90 minutes a week every Friday. And if he's got an idea, great, let's hear it. Let's plan it out and let's implement it. Because the last thing I want to do is just kind of think that I knew everything, or that we should just rest on our laurels. Otherwise, we just kind of start falling behind. So we're typically between 90 minutes and 2 hours. I can manage those 3 companies.
Okay. So one of the things we talked about, and which obviously Disney is big on, is the customer experience. And your line to me a couple of weeks ago was about how most most are a commodity.
Mm.
So how do you differentiate your businesses to that customer experience to make it not a commodity?
Sure. So what I teach my coaching members and my one-on-one clients is at the end of any interaction with you, what you want your customers or your clients or your patients to be saying is, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened at, and then insert your profession there. What Disney has done is they have figured out how to create an experience out of all the boring, mundane things we have to do day in and day out to keep the business running. I mentioned a couple: answer the telephone, driving around, entering people's homes. I'll give you a quick example. And when we do this, let me just preface it with, these don't cost a lot of money. They don't even have to cost any money. So it just has a little bit to do with your imagination. So I don't want people to think that, oh my God, I've got to invest, gobs of money or resources to do this. It's really just limited by your imagination. So one of the boring things that we have to do in the carpet business is get into somebody's home. And so what we've done is create a complete experience out of entering the home. And for us, it starts out in the street before we even get there. So my guys, we park our vans in the street. We don't park in the driveway because, God forbid, I got an oil leak. Now I got something else I got to clean up. And my technicians, they get out of the van and they're in a clean uniform because they carry extra uniforms with them in the van in case they get dirty on the job beforehand. And they go up to the front door and they've got a special rug with them and a little gift. Then they get up to the front door, they lay the special rug down, they knock on the door, they don't ring the bell because friends knock and salespeople ring the bell. Take a few steps back from the door. Mrs. McGillicuddy answers the door, and our technician will say, "Hi, my name's Josh. I'm here to create your healthy home. May I come in?" We don't just barge in. And the customer will say, "Sure, yeah, please come on in." So the technician will do an exaggeration of wiping his feet on the special little carpet to make sure that the customer sees it. And then we put little booties on our clean shoes. And as we're entering the home, we give Mrs. McGillicuddy a gift. Now, when was the last time you had a home service person, like a pest control guy or an electrician or a plumber, hand you a gift before any work has been done, even before they even have the job? I'm going to probably hazard a guess. Hasn't happened.
Never.
So by doing that, just that little gift, And for us, it's less than $5. It's a little blue box, and inside of it is a bottle of spot remover, a little bag of Entenmann's cookies, and a note from me saying, "Thanks so much for allowing us into your home. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call." That's the experience of us getting into the home. And by doing that, well, one, doing the gift part, we answer that question of, "Oh my God, you'll never guess what happened when the carpet cleaners came today. They gave me a gift." So it sets us apart from everybody. My competitors know what I'm doing because I've seen them hiding in the bushes watching my guys. And it also starts a process called reciprocity. I give something to you, you feel compelled to give something back to me. So when we started giving this gift, we saw a 26% increase in our mid-tier package. Or if you want to put it into dollars, about a $65,000 to $70,000 a year in additional sales by implementing the gift.
Okay. The little things, right?
Yeah, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't, John.
Yeah. So, yeah, what you're talking about is, as you said to me before, you're differentiating the customer experience rather than here's someone coming and I'm going to clean your carpets. Where are they? Let me get in there and do it and buy. And
Exactly. And you're also trying to create emotional connections with your customer. I mean, it's sales 101, Zig Ziglar, Tommy Hopkins kind of stuff.
yeah,
I mean, my guys, we train them. You walk into somebody's home, the first thing you should be doing is complimenting them on something, or, if you see a guitar in the corner, you should be saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a guitar player too. And I've got a Gibson, and oh, you've got a Fender." Try to create some kind of rapport, break it down from just, you're here to do an oil change. I mean, try to get some kind of connection going, because once you have that emotional connection, it's very difficult for the customer to leave your company. And that's when you start, because the experiences from either consuming your product or engaging in your service starts and sets the stage for customer retention and keeping your customers. If
yeah,
you haven't created an emotional connection during the consumption of product or engagement of service, retaining the customer is going to be really, really a lot harder. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you haven't done yourself any favors by not setting the stage for that.
yeah. So would you consider your customer retention and loyalty to high end?
No doubt. We are about 2.2 times the industry average. So right now we are at about a 73%. Year over year, we have customers come back to clean again within 1 year. Industry average is in the low 30s.
Okay. Okay.
So yes, I now we have retention strategies that it's not just the experiences that do that. We have marketing pieces, retention pieces that we use. I'm a big proponent of using the U.S. Postal Service, which, by the way, for all the youngsters listening, that's the guys that drive around in those white vans and deliver mail. It doesn't come electronically. I mean, mailboxes are empty these days. I mean, you might get a credit card application in there, or maybe a catalog, but mailboxes are empty. So one of the key things that I highly recommend to my members and my consultant clients is using a newsletter, a real print, hold it in your hands newsletter that you send monthly. And I've been doing it now for, just a tick over 14 years now in my carpet cleaning business. My customers get a print newsletter. And the design of it is, one, is a continuation of the experience and a continuation of the emotional connection. And the newsletter is not supposed to talk about this is use my carpet cleaning business. I mean, if I got a new Succomatic 3000, whiz bang carpet cleaning thing, my customers don't care. They don't want to know anything about that. But if our local high school football team, my kid was playing on it and we just won the county championships and I had a little article about that in there, it's like Reader's Digest light. They love this stuff. I've got one section in there. It's called Stupid Criminal Stories. They love this section. I took it after like 3 years. I took that section out because I was bored with it. And I put something else in there. I got more phone. I must have got like 7 or 8 phone calls and says, where are the stupid criminal stories? So that told me a couple of things. One, people are actually reading the newsletter. And 2, they like stupid criminal stories. So I have not replaced them in 10 years. So I continue to run those things.
Well, Vance, I know what you mean by that because we go to it's not in the mail, but we go to a seasonal fruit and vegetable market near our house. And, they open in March, they close it, sometime in October. And yeah, and every month the owner, she puts out a, front and back. You can pick it up at the cash register. My wife, if I go there and don't bring one home, I get admonished because she loves it. And it's like you said, I mean, it's all about what's going on, the seasonality of the fruits, the vegetables, maybe some things around in the suburban town they're in, and then on the back there's tidbits and recipes. And you're right, people like that stuff, and it does lead to retention. What about the other thing we talked about is word of mouth marketing. So,
And I mean, that comes from, the experiences, certainly, and going back to the, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened. I mean, people are going to talk about your business.
good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to control the narrative. And, at the end of the experience, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened. You want that to be a good statement as well. But once you have people in that heightened state of, wow, they did a really good job. 2, they really took care of me. And I feel that they treated me like a person, not as just another, transaction throughout the day. You have the opportunity to get referrals and you have the opportunity to really do word of mouth marketing. Word of mouth marketing also needs to be systematized. Or systemized, whatever the word is. So again, in my business, if you're a new customer, you will be hit with a referral request. I can't remember. It's either 7 or 9 times between the first phone call and the first newsletter you'll get after the cleaning. So when you call to make your appointment, our customer service guy will say, hey, is there anybody in your neighborhood that might like to have their carpet cleaned as well, since we're already going to be there? We'd be more than happy to give you, it's like 10 or 15% off of your cleaning. We're already going to be there, be more than happy to do that. And then when the technician gets there, he's got referral certificates and his business card. Half his business card is a referral card. And so referring, the underlying current is referring is a condition of doing business with us. Now, it's said more eloquently than that, but that is really the undercurrent. That is really the message we're portraying, is that we expect you to refer. The newsletter is that's the only advertising or call to action in the newsletter is, hey, do you have a friend or a relative or neighbor that might need us? And that's it. And it's a little square in the bottom. But you've got to have a system in order to get it going. You need to have consistent calls to action for referrals. You've got to tell your customers what to do, because if they're confused or they don't know what to say or how to do it, they're not going to do anything. So having explicit directions on how to refer people to your business, you're going to get a heck of a lot more referrals.
Okay. You just answered the question I was going to ask about about a referral program. And do you give anything? And you do. So one little question about that. Do your technicians get a little bonus if they get a referral that leads to a job?
Yes, 100%. They are, so I mentioned their business card is a two-parter. So they'll give the guest or the customer their business card. It tears in half, so the customer can use the bottom half and give it to a friend or neighbor, and it's got the technician's initials printed on the bottom. And when that card gets redeemed, the technician gets 10% of whatever the job that the referring party got. So yes, they love giving those cards out.
Yeah. So let's finish up with a couple things. And one is, I know we have talked about was price elasticity. And for those who are not had not taken economics class, that refers to how prices can change based on quality and supply and demand. So we have seen that in the society the last few years when there's a shortage of eggs because of bird flu, egg prices go up. They're elastic. So talk about price elasticity and your prices, etc.
Sure. So our pricing, what I teach is how to become an apples to oranges comparison, so that you cannot be compared to the competition. The minute you can, we're all commodities. If you can be compared to the competition, then your customers' only question, the only one they can ask is how much? Because if it's an oil change, how much? One oil change is an oil change is an oil change. There's not much difference between them. But if you're able to differentiate yourself through an experience, through other things that will separate you from the competition, now you have that price elasticity. One of the things I love to include are guarantees and warranties. It's like selling air. It's like going to Best Buy and getting the warranty when they sell you the TV, $79 for 3 years. Well, Best Buy just made $79, and they're only going to be out money is if you redeem the warranty, if they actually have to go out and do something. So in my carpet business, we have warranties and guarantees. It's something that separates me from all of our other competitors. I've got a 1 year, no permanent stains warranty. And none of my competitors will do it because they're afraid to do it. I can tell you in 15 years of offering this warranty, I count on one hand the number of times we've actually had to go out and, do something for the warranty. Looking for things that, an on-time guarantee. I think it's Ben Franklin Plumbing. It's one of the franchises. They're known as the on-time plumber. And if they're not on time, you don't pay the service fee or whatever it is. So those are kinds of things that you can build in and gives you the ability to charge more because you no longer are offering the same thing that everybody else is. They're carpet cleaning, yeah, but I'm carpet cleaning with a warranty, with a guarantee, with it on time, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so let's finish up with, we didn't talk about this, but you're talking all about B2C. How does this apply to B2B businesses?
In my opinion, it's no different. You don't do businesses with business, you do business with people. And, when I work with commercial clients, there's a purchasing manager, there's a buyer's agent, and it's still a guy or a gal at the other end that I've got to go and talk to, communicate with, schmooze, whatever the word you want to use. And all of the same things apply. They get my newsletter. They get the same experience that I would deliver to a consumer in their home. And we have to remember that they're still people. And how they feel is going to be how they buy. I mean, everyone, people, they buy with their heart and then they justify it with their brain.
Yeah.
And
Well, I knew that would be your answer, Vance, and uh, I'm just going to share to finish up here. About a month or so ago, I was talking with the owner of a software company, and what would you do if you did get this kind of money? If you sold part of your company and went back in, oh, we'd hire a couple salespeople and a new tech, and there was no mention of we have a process or a system or a plan for those salespeople. So too many times I see B2B companies, oh, we'll hire some salespeople, a salesperson, whatever, and there's still them out there. And versus what you're talking about is a step by step by step plan for them to be successful.
100%.
Yeah. So how do people reach you, Vance?
Best way is through my website, which is vancemorris.com. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
And if people would like some great ideas on how to create experiences, I've got a hot sheet that's called 52 Ways to Wow Your Customer Without Breaking the Bank. So one wow a week for those that might not be too creative, and they are all low or no cost ways to wow your customers. Then you can find that at wow52ways.com.
Wow. 52 ways.
.com.
I'm going to check that out. Uh, and all this will be in the show notes when this goes live. So, Vance, hey, it was a pleasure. It's always to me you talk about these systems and processes, and I always like to talk about Occam's razor. The simplest way is usually the best way, and you've broke it down into those little steps that I'm sure even a technician new to your company can pick up quickly. So thank you so
Yep.
much for being here. Vance Morris, the Disney guy.
Thank you, John.